we gave very little authority to the RTA when we created it 24 years ago. So it's time to draw in the RTA and make them responsible for regional planning and coordination. That's what my bill would do.
At the same time, you know, there is this money issue, the restructure issue. It's entirely possible, isn't it, that you're never going to get to the restructuring, you're just going to have to throw more money at this problem?
I would say they go hand in hand. I think that it would be a mistake for us just to hand over money without also making a serious commitment to creating one regional transportation agency, transit agency, out of 3 independent agencies. And that's what we really need. We've never really had one integrated transit agency.
Can I suggest that we haven't had one integrated transit agency because there are so many forces that want power and control that was always impossible?
Well, they haven't asked for this much money in 24 years. So
you think you've got them over a barrel?
I think when they come to us for this kind of money, we need to also think about how we're going to accomplish some of those agendas, because that is very serious. And we also have the Auditor General, who we are putting a lot of we're banking on that report to really help lead the way. That's why we commissioned this report.
And William Holland has a lot of respect, the Auditor General, right?
That's right. And this is the first ever audit of this system in all these years since we created the RTA. So we're waiting anxiously for the final report to be released because we are committed to doing what he is suggesting. My committee at the same time came up with some of the same solutions. So we're exactly on the same track, and I say these two concepts go hand in hand, RTA reform and funding. And I'm very committed to funding as well.
But here's where I get confused. Well, you've got this report, and the Auditor General has done this analysis. You've got House Speaker Mike Madigan of your party, who just dropped a bombshell by reviving the Crosstown Expressway idea that was killed off in the old Mayor Daley administration. So are all of you guys in the majority together on this?
Well, I don't know exactly what he was thinking. This is in part, I think, going through his neighborhood and his district. So I don't know exactly where he's headed with that. But here's what I do know. A couple weeks ago, he and I had a conversation. And I said, you know, if we don't really take a serious look at transportation, we have many agendas in Springfield, but we have to also look at transportation and transit as real needs, because we have a big hole in the RTA budget this year. And if we don't help them solve it, they're going to arrive on our doorstep, whether we like it or not, in about May, just at the time that we want to wrap things up. So he suggested that we need to be doing this as part of a whole transportation agenda. The Crosstown, to me, is a hint that maybe he really understands that we are going to do transportation, a big capital bill, and hopefully also resolving the RTA funding issue and the reform agenda.
So you take a certain amount of optimism in that.
I do.
Let me throw some pessimistic possibilities at you. You've got a governor that's working on a great big universal health care plan.
Yes.
You have State Senator Meeks and many others, Emil Jones, who wants an education program. You've got pension reform that is radically needed, and you don't have a lot of cash coming in. Can you do any one of these things in, you know, sort of wholly, or is this going to be a piece here, a piece there?
Well, it is a big challenge, because that's a big plate for us to, you know, have in front of us. And I think that is the challenge. We're going to have to come in with new revenues. We can't pretend that we can just fund everything with what we have. But on the transportation and transit agenda, again, I'm looking at a big hole in the RTA budget, and I'm also looking at the fact that the last capital bond program we had was in 1999. That was supposed to be a 5-year plan. So statewide, there is pressure building to do something about transportation. We're going to have to weigh that with all the competing needs. I understand what you're saying. I don't want to gloss over it. I think it's a big agenda, but
because
these
it's
are
sort of
serious problems facing the state.
You need to integrate all this transportation, but at the same time, the state needs to integrate all of its sizable needs into some sort of coherent financial program, right?
Yeah, and I don't want to sugarcoat this. It is going to take more revenues, and that's something that we as public officials don't like to admit. But this is my tough love message. If we're going to really want a world-class transit system, which we do, then we're going to have to make the investments. Right now, every rider out there knows, especially CTA rider knows, that this system is deteriorating. And if we don't infuse some new money into it, we're going to continue to steal from the maintenance budget to pay for operating. That cannot allow to continue.
Nobody ever accused you of sugarcoating, and that's a good thing. Julie Hamos, thanks very much for being with us on